Brad Keselowski has won everything there is to win in NASCAR except the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. He nearly came close a season prior in 2021, all to have it come crashing down entering turn 3 after getting blocked by his teammate Joey Logano. At this very moment, Brad Keselowski officially snapped. If he was ever going to win the Great American Race, he knew that he had to make changes. The first of those being changing teams entirely, taking a 50% ownership stake with Roush Fenway Racing, which is now called Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. The next would be upping the aggression levels at Daytona. For as good of a driver as he is at Talladega, Daytona is a totally different story. In Keselowski's mind, it was now or never to win the Great American Race, which is why what happened this past Speedweek shouldn't have surprised anybody. This is the Brad Keselowski Speedweek experience.
Let's go back 2 laps ago. Brad Keselowski trying to send Ryan Blaney forward. I think there's as much lateral as forward motion there.
Glad he's got those light colored gloves on. You can see him in there working the wheel.
Now if these drivers stay single file, oh never mind. Here comes Keselowski.
Man, that's a little earlier than I was expecting right there, Larry.
Now Cindric gets a bump from the 14 at Frisco.
It's going to be off of 4 right here. You're going to have to... Well,
Keselowski by himself, double wide behind him, and Brad Keselowski gets his first dual win, 3 wide for second. Austin Cindric over Blaney and Briscoe.
The duels had offered a preview of what was to come from Brad Keselowski that Sunday, testing to see what he could get away with aggression-wise, and also he was racing with a heavy heart and a bit of a chip on his shoulder. His father, former ARCA legend Bob Keselowski, had passed away last December, and in his first unofficial race as a car owner, he wanted to show that he could get the job done. In his duel race, he led only 4 laps, but was able to stay inside the top 5 for a lot of it, showing that the Fords were going to be a threat on Sunday. With Chris Buescher winning the second duel race, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing had already swept part of Speedweek. Both cars were going to be starting 3rd and 4th, and immediately Keselowski showed a ton of speed, taking the lead right away on the top side with a bunch of other Fords following him, including his former ride.
Remember, Keselowski's a Cup champion, has 35 career wins, but no Daytona 500 trophy. That in itself should be enough motivation for today, but as you mentioned earlier, Mike, he's part owner of his race team now. And remember, he lost his dad back in December, so a lot of different emotions for Keselowski. And Mike, that Harley J. Earl trophy, it represents much more than just a race win for Brad today.
As you can tell by the stats that were just on the screen, something about this race always curses Keselowski. Once the field got a little bit more racy towards the end of stage 1, the aggression levels immediately picked up. Harrison Burton, making his Daytona 500 debut, was introduced to this aggression right away. The end result was Brad Keselowski sending him straight to the moon.
That's 6 in your mirror, still 2x2. 6, push them the hell out on 21.
Oh no!
We just got wrecked. Just got wrecked by the 21. Turned over. Hang on here, man. Hang on.
You can't push to the right, Brad. I mean, damn.
Brad can't push. Scotty sucks.
After all of the early chaos ensued, the race immediately goes back to choo-choo type racing. This type of racing took place throughout most of stage 2, but Brad Keselowski still finds himself in the thick of it all, running inside either the top 5 or top 10 throughout all of stage 2. Towards the end, he was able to work his way to the lead once again, with some help from his former teammate Joey Logano. But on the final lap of stage 2, Keselowski would have to pick the aggression levels up once again. Chase Briscoe decided he wanted to stay on the lead lap, and when he went all the way to the bottom, everyone decided to go right around him. Once we hit the final stage, Keselowski was once again back to the lead and had already clinched the most laps led. But once we got through with the choo-choo racing, his former ride and the new driver of that ride, Austin Cindric, found his way up front. Keselowski was tucked underneath right behind the 2 Penske cars and the Richard Petty Motorsports 43 on the the bottom. But once we got inside 10 laps to go, we had some new players in the mix. And with a little lady luck, Keselowski was able to freight train on the bottom and completely avoid this wreck in the tri-oval. But after the red flag with 7 laps to go, Keselowski would be involved in yet another race incident.
So the 6 behind you has his teammate, the 17, with him. So I assume he's going to go hard as he can to get by these guys on the bottom. And we're going to old school it once we get there, okay? Copy.
And I think you'll see more side drafting off of Ricky. You don't want to open up that middle and give Brad a chance to get underneath of you.
Bubba Wallace gets up there with the 2 Fords, and they edge out front. Oh, crash! Stenhouse in the wall.
Should have known.
And Chris Buescher with him.
Might have seen this movie before earlier in the day.
Staying with the 6. He's 1 back. Getting a boost. Coming to you now. Boost. Alright, hold on to it. Should have known the 6. Dang it. Team never lift. Keselowski. Damn, I thought I could push him.
Hashtag never lift, hashtag I thought I could push him. At the moment of caution, Keselowski was 4th and would restart in that same spot, right behind his former ride, now driven by Austin Cindric. This is Austin Cindric's 2nd start in the Great American Race, his 1st in the number 2. The ride that Keselowski had tried to win the Great American Race in for so many years was now going to be the ride he was going to have to push. On the final restart, Keselowski laid back a tad bit, but Chase Briscoe was ready to push him right away. Austin Cindric moved down to the bottom to pick up his teammate Ryan Blaney, leaving the top side open for Keselowski and company. All of the Fords have been fast throughout the day, but Brad Keselowski was ultimately the most aggressive. Let's see if that aggressiveness would pay off.
Keselowski had the run, but he's going to need the help. Here it comes. Big push from Kyle Busch and from Chase Briscoe.
He's locked on there too.
He's going to have to stay there.
Inside
Here
was there
comes
for a
another
second.
push from Kyle Busch on that outside.
Even mirror.
Cindric can't get too far out.
Coming to turn 3, where it all came undone last year on the final lap.
Briscoe's out. He can't get to the
Austin
6 car.
Cindric, whose grandfather won
Comes a
the
run.
Indy 500 as a car owner. Cindric is going to bring them to the line way up high to block Ryan Blaney, and at the line, Cindric beats Bubba Wallace by half a car length, and they crash going into turn 1.
In the end, all of that aggressiveness did not matter. Austin Cindric was officially the 2022 Daytona 500 winner, winning the Great American Race in the ride that Keselowski had tried to win in for so many years. And in his first attempt in the deuce at Daytona, man, that's tough. Austin Cindric's 2022 Daytona 500 performance will go down in history, while Brad Keselowski's performance in this race will go down in infamy. It doesn't matter that he had one of the fastest cars all day, and it certainly doesn't matter that he led the most laps. When you cause multiple wrecks like that in the biggest race of the year, you're going to be ripe for some criticism, not only from drivers, but especially the fan base. This quote from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. says it all. I guess he just tried to wreck everybody in the field until he won. I guess his other car won that he gave up, so kudos to him. Damn, when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is criticizing you for wrecking the field at a super speedway race and for being over aggressive, you know you messed up. Brad Keselowski might win the Great American Race someday, but until that happens, all we have to remember is the Brad Keselowski Speedweek experience. And once again, that'll do it for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.